We have a lot of updates that we need to talk about. There is a lot that is happening right now. I'm going to give you some updates that I have been keeping track of in the news, and some of my commentary about what is happening in the current conflict in Iran. What's up, everybody? My name is Morgan Houston, aka Whiskey Mo, the internet's least famous academic. I am a scholar of irregular warfare, national defense policy, information. I am also a former Air Force JTAC and TACP. Those are things that can help me inform some of my discussions about this right here. Um, so to give kind of a quick update over what happened, a little recap. In the early mornings of um, February 28th, 2026, the United States and Israel began conducting airstrikes in what they are calling major combat operations in Iran. This has led to Iranian retaliation, which has been in the form of missiles directed at Israel, as well as American forces throughout the Middle East, including Saudi Arabian oil infrastructure, some very dense neighborhoods in Dubai, which has led to some civilian casualties, as well as the targeting of American forces. Um, as of right now, there have been 3 confirmed U.S. service members killed, with at least 5 having suffered serious injuries, but they are okay. So 3 service members have been killed. And there's also the confirmation that Iran has officially confirmed that the Ayatollah, the supreme leader of Iran, has been killed in a strike. This, as President Trump has called out, this is a quote unquote preemptive strike, which there is some questions about the legality of something like a preemptive strike. This is in relations to just a long-standing animosity between the U.S. and Iran. During his statement that was posted on social media, the president referenced nearly 50 years of violence from Iran, starting with during the Iranian Revolution, where students had taken over the embassy and held American hostages for 444 days. Some of the proxy warfare that Iran has conducted, including proxy forces such as Hezbollah and Hamas. And they've also discussed the nuclear weapons that Iran had been attempting to obtain. So this is not a small thing. This is something that has been slowly building up over the last couple of weeks and months, with multiple American forces being sent to the region, multiple aircraft carriers and forces. And I will freely admit I was wrong. I thought this was all going to be blustering, and this was going to be just going to be posturing to get a more favorable agreement with the nuclear negotiations that had been taking place between the U.S. and Iran. And so I missed that call. I definitely didn't get that one right. I mean, I'm probably wrong more often than I am right, but I did have a discussion with some colleagues of mine, and I freely said that I don't think that this is going to happen, that this is going to be a war that we are going to have to deal with. So that, hey, I'll admit when I'm wrong. So I think there are some concerns that I have, right? President Trump called on the people of Iran to take control of their government. However, airstrikes have never led to regime change. That's just not how it works. Like, we may be able to instigate some sort of revolution for the Iranian people, but I'm really not sure what's going to happen next. I haven't really seen any battle damage assessments. I'm going to try and start digging in a little bit this week. I just finished up a course, so I'm actually going to have some free time. But unless there is some active movement, but from the Republican Guard, not the Republican Guard, the Revolutionary Guard, and some of the other security forces, there isn't necessarily any incentive for those who remain alive that are in power to change. In authoritarian states like this, there's always the desire for for those in power to stay in power, because that's how they maintain their livelihood and that's how they maintain their power. So I don't know exactly what the outright goals. I understand the stated goals here, but I don't understand what the thought process is when it actually comes down to the reality of the situation here. It just it doesn't make sense to me, honestly. Like I don't. It's one of these situations, and very similar to what happened in Venezuela a couple of months ago, in that I think the world is going to end up being in a better place if we can stifle Iran's proxy activities, some of the kind of essential hostage and holding the world blackmail for in the Strait of Hormuz, and some of the oil issues that they're having. So like I think there's going to be some positive outcomes in this, but I really am at a loss here. And I think this kind of goes back to an article I read at War on the Rocks a few months ago from Ryan Evans about how we need to stop judging Donald Trump by the same matrices that we have done every other serious leader in the nation, especially in the fact that there really is no such thing as a Trump policy of foreign affairs. And like it's all about what hits in the moment for him, and we need to judge based on that. So I think this is going to be there is going to be, I think, a moment of destabilization, depending on how long this goes. Because don't forget, as I referenced in my most recent podcast episode of End of the Week, there's a war going on between between Afghanistan and Pakistan right now, and that is right there on the western border of Iran, or the eastern border of Iran. And like, how is that going to impact? This is also going to make it all the way to the subcontinent, because what's India's role in the war against Pakistan, because they're essentially blood rivals from the time of partition. Does that impact what's going to happen in Iran? Are we going to have to worry about American forces in on the ground? Are we going to have to, like, what is our outcome here? What is our stated goals? I'm very concerned. And again, air power just does not lead to regime change. It's just not how it works. And despite as much as I disliked some of the ideas from around like the Bush administrations of you break it, you bought it kind of things, but now we're breaking it and we're not even concerned about what happens afterwards. I'm very concerned about our second and third order effects that are gonna happen here. How is this going to destabilize a very important region, especially now as the American government is moving back from renewable energy sources. And yes, right now we are somewhat energy independent, but what happens to oil prices? What happens to our allies and our partners when it comes to oil and fossil fuels? What happens with OPEC? Like there are a lot of things that we need to be looking at and being concerned about. So as always, if you stick around, I'm going to keep trying to post some stuff, give you my perspective, point you guys to some other areas where you may find some other analysis that is really good. I highly recommend War on the Rocks, as well as just kind of keeping an eye on what is happening. DW News on YouTube has been doing a lot of good stuff, so keep track of everything. If you find some value in this, go ahead and do all of the social media things. Hit that bell if you want to know when my videos come up. As you can see, this is not part of the podcast series. We're just going to keep posting some of these things as they go. So that is it. Again, a recap. The early morning of February 28th, 2026, the U.S. and Israel struck Iran. The leader of the Iranian Revolutionary Council and government, the Ayatollah Khamenei, is dead. 3 American service members have been killed, and at least five wounded. To my brothers there, hey, we'll see you in Valhalla. But hey, we'll keep everything going. We'll see what happens with this. And until next time, y'all, be well.